Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Mr. Reda Adel. Today we're going to dive into the exciting vocabulary of Unit 10, Spread the News. Get ready for a fun little challenge.
Does reading the news in English ever feel like you're trying to solve a puzzle? I totally get it. All those new words and phrases can be a bit of a challenge.
While today, we're going to turn all that confusion into confidence. I've put together a really engaging practice quiz that's going to help you master these new words. So you ready to dive in?
Okay, so here's our game plan. We've got 4 different challenge levels to get through, and then at the very end, we'll check all the answers together. Make sure you've got your notebooks ready.
All right, challenge number 1 is up. Let's start by getting to know the newsroom. We'll look at some key vocabulary about different kinds of newspapers and, the people who actually create them. First, just a quick little reminder for you. On the left, you see a tabloid. That's a type of newspaper that usually focuses on things like celebrity news and scandals. And on the right, that's a broadsheet, which is the more traditional large format paper.
Okay, it's time for your first real test. On the next slide, you're going to see a matching challenge. So when you're ready, just pause this explainer and give it your best shot.
Here we go. So on the left, you've got 4 key terms: headlines, sports section, editor, and reviews. And on the right, you'll see the definitions. Just take a moment to match them up. Go ahead and write down your answers, and hey, no pressure. We're going to go over everything at the end.
Great job on that one. Let's move on to level 2 and see how this all builds. You'll find that news reports, especially when they're about disasters, often use really powerful and dramatic vocabulary.
I really love this slide because it shows just how powerful a single word can be. Words like erupt or flood, they don't just describe something that happened. They really paint this dramatic picture in our minds. Let's see if you can put them to use.
Okay, it's time to put that vocabulary into practice. Read these 3 sentences and see if you can fill in the blanks with the right words. Go ahead and pause right here to think it through. And remember, it's totally okay if this is tricky. That's what we're here for, to learn.
You're doing an amazing job. Welcome to Level 3, our rapid fire round. In this section, we're going to quickly test your knowledge of common abbreviations, phrasal verbs, and prepositions that, honestly, you'll see everywhere in English.
First up, abbreviations. What do these common acronyms stand for? I'm sure you see them all the time in text messages and emails. Pause here for a second and see how many you can get right.
All right, next up, we have phrasal verbs and prepositions. Mastering these is so key to sounding natural when you speak English. Take a look at these 4 sentences. Your challenge is to fill in that blank with the single word that fits perfectly. Go ahead and pause when you're ready.
And now we've made it to the final level, the idiom challenge. Idioms are those funny phrases where the words together have a totally different meaning from their dictionary definitions. So let's see if you've cracked the code on these.
With idioms, context is absolutely everything. So for our first scenario, I want you to imagine this. It's Neil's first real job, and he has 0 experience. He's still just learning the ropes. Which idiom describes him perfectly?
So here are your options. Is he A, wet behind the ears, B, to be all ears, or C, under my nose? Really think about which one suggests that someone is new and inexperienced. Go ahead and lock in your answer.
Let's try another one. So he has found this wonderful apartment, a great flat, but the rent is just very, very expensive. He's spending way too much money on it. So how would you describe this situation?
So which idiom do you think perfectly captures this idea of spending way too much money? Is it A, looking down his nose, B, playing it by ear, or C, paying through the nose? What do you think? Go ahead and make your choice. And challenge complete. Fantastic work, everyone. I know some of those were pretty tough, but now it's time to go back and see how you did. Let's check those answers.
Let's check our answers for levels 1 and 2. For our matching game, headlines are the big titles of news articles. The sports section is, of course, where you read about games. The editor is the boss, the person in charge, and reviews are articles that give opinions on things like movies or books. Now, for level 2, the volcano erupted, the river broke its banks, and the photos were on magazine covers. How'd you do on those?
Now for our rapid fire round. Let's see how you did here. VIP stands for very important person. ASAP means as soon as possible. HR is human resources, and ETA is the estimated time of arrival. For the sentences, Jack takes after his father, which means he looks or acts like him. You turn down the radio. Paulo wastes money on clothes, and the ticket is valid for 1 week. Go ahead and check your work. And finally, our idiom challenge. So if someone is really inexperienced like Neil, we say they are wet behind the ears. And if you're spending way too much money on something, like that expensive apartment, you are paying through the nose. Idioms can be really tricky, so fantastic job for even tackling those.
You all did an amazing job today. So to really put these new skills to the test, here's my challenge for you. Find one news headline in English this week and just try to understand it. You've totally got this. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.